Predator Badlands has come out and has seemingly flipped the franchise on its head, having the Predator be the hero. And while this does seem like a brand new fresh take on the Predator franchise instead of just rehashing the same old plot, it actually wasn't, and it borrowed quite a bit from the past and rehashed something similar. But that doesn't mean that's a bad thing. It's actually a very good thing, and I'll explain why. So let's break down how Predator Badlands borrowed from the past, why this worked so well, and what every single Hollywood studio should learn from the success of Predator Badlands. But before we get into all of that, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I do deep dives on the film and TV industry and break down news and trends. So if you're into any of that, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, but let's get into it. Changing the titular character of the Predator franchise from the villain to the hero was a very shocking move, especially when the previous installments were very successful maintaining the original formula of Predator. Prey came out in 2022, and while that film was great and it did give us a kind of fresh take having the setting be during colonial Native American times, it still relied on the same type of story, having the Predator hunt a bunch of unsuspecting humans like all the other previous entries. And then Killer of Killers capitalized on this same premise, taking the Predator against the Vikings, ninjas, and World War II pilots. All signs were telling this franchise to just keep doing what's been done before and just keep setting it in new eras across history and rely on nostalgia. And the ending credits of Prey signaled that they were going to do this very thing. But instead, they did something else. Instead, they made the Predator the hero. They took a well-known menacing figure, made them the main character, had them take care of someone else who teaches them about humanity and morality, and it creates a bond between those two. And then they had that typical menacing figure go on a journey of character development. And I'm sure you're thinking, this sounds familiar, right? It's because it is. Predator Badlands was basically given the same treatment that Terminator 2 got way back in 1991. And that's why it worked so well. They still repeated something that worked in the past, but they did so that still worked with the Predator franchise. And that's the exact same thing that Terminator 2 did in more ways than one. In T2 Judgment Day, the Terminator is the hero of the story instead of the villain. He gets sent back in time and is placed in the same role as one of the past heroes, Kyle Reese, and has to take on a Terminator. They completely flip the Terminator on its head, and that's exactly what Predator Badlands did as well. In Predator Badlands, we focus on a runt named Deck that needs to prove himself by hunting an apex predator called the Callus to bring honor to his clan. The Predator steps into being the hero of the story and is placed on a planet where he is now prey to multiple different species across this entire planet. He has the same goal as the humans of a typical Predator movie. The hero is trying to survive and kill the apex predator while learning what the villain's weaknesses are so that they can then use it to their own advantage. Deck comes into contact with tons of species that are trying to kill him, and he slowly learns about their weaknesses and how to exploit them, just like how the past Predator movies have done. Just like how Dutch learned to cover himself using mud to mask his heat signals, Deck learns how to use the environment around him, gathering creatures to be his weapons and using various parts of the environment like the paralyzing needles and the exploding slugs to face off against Weyland-Yutani. Predator Badlands borrowed quite a bit from T2 in how they made the villain the hero of the story instead, but they didn't just copy the story and copy the plot and call it a day. They dug deeper and also made the titular character go through an arc and have character development. In Terminator 2, all we know about Terminators is that they are machines and they are programmed with one basic purpose: to kill humans, to kill Sarah Connor, to kill John Connor, however you want to put it. The Yautja up until Predator Badlands were the exact same way. They are beings who only care about one thing. They only care about trophy hunting and being the apex predator. That is how the audience perceived them. T2 and Predator Badlands each had a type of character that we know and love, and then they expanded upon them and gave them character development. And both of these films did this in the exact same way. In T2, the reason why the Terminator goes through character development is because he protects John Connor. John then decides to teach the Terminator about humanity and morality. John teaches him not to kill people because it's bad.
You just can't go around killing people.
Why?
What do you mean why? 'Cause you can't.
Why?
Because you just can't, okay? Trust me on this.
He teaches him phrases that he should be using, like hasta la vista baby and no problemo, so he is less robotic, and he even teaches him about feelings.
Why do you cry?
You mean people?
Yeah.
I don't know. We just cry. You know, when it hurts.
Even though it's not like the Terminator develops emotions by the end of his journey, because at the end of the day, he is still a robot, he still develops an understanding of humanity and emotions towards the end. He tells John he is sorry several times right before he terminates himself, which doesn't make sense for a robot.
I'm sorry, John. I'm sorry.
No, it'll be okay. Stay with us.
He understands sadness and tells John,
I know now why you cry. But it's something I can never do.
a character that we've only known to have one simplistic goal became something much more. And that's the exact same thing that Predator Badlands does. Dek comes to the planet Genna with only one goal in mind, to hunt. But with the character of Thia, he develops and changes from the typical Predator. Thia teaches him about what it truly means to be an alpha. It's not just the one that kills the most, which is what the Yautja typically cares about. Instead, it's about becoming a leader, protecting others, and forging your own path. Thia teaches him that you don't have to hunt alone, and you are actually stronger with a clan, and without them you would die, reinforcing this several times with Thia and Bud saving him. This lesson goes directly against Dek's upbringing, similar to how a Terminator learned not to kill people even though that's what he's made for, or how a Terminator is learning how to cry. Throughout the entire story, Dek learns that emotions do not make him weak, and it's better to hunt in a pack and be a leader, and by the end of it, he willingly puts himself in danger to rescue the Kalisk, who is Bud's mother. Both films also use humor as a way to showcase both characters' learning. Both films take what the character has learned or is trying to learn and presents them in humorous ways to show the character's development. With Terminator 2, the Terminator does learn not to kill people, but then he ends up shooting someone in the leg and then says,
He'll live.
Or John tells the Terminator that he should smile more, and then the Terminator smiles naturally after picking up a minigun. And they do the same thing with Dek. Thea teaches him about wolf and packs and being a leader, and in the same way as T2, Dek has multiple funny lines, taking things very literally and coming off as kind of autistic. I don't think that was the intention here, but that's definitely how it felt. Dek doesn't fully understand what she means, and he takes things very literally, just like how the Terminator did so in T2. They both use humor to help build out their development and create a character that you once feared and turn them into someone that you are actively rooting for as they go through their own character development and problems. And one other thing that I noticed as I was rewatching T2 to prepare to write this video, they both use an element of freezing to defeat the villain. In T2, the T-1000 gets frozen and then they destroy it, though only temporarily, and then in Badlands they also freeze the Kalisk to both capture it, and then later on it does lead to the Kalisk's death. Nothing too much to dive into about that, I just thought it was interesting. Now, is Predator Badlands doing the exact same thing that Terminator 2 did a bad thing? No, not at all. And it's actually something that Hollywood should do way more often, but not just copying stuff. I'm talking about taking risks. Turning the scary Terminator into a hero who has emotions and learns about crying definitely could have pissed some people off back in the day. But instead, they ultimately didn't care and chose to deliver a sequel that is still fresh and new while also keeping true to its roots. They took a risk and weren't afraid to piss some people off. Even James Cameron himself acknowledges the potential backlash to making the villain into a hero. But they decided to forego all that and not retreat on the same territory that they already did in the first Terminator. And that's what Predator Badlands did. And once again, if we're repeating history, James Cameron had the same thoughts as well, thinking that Predator Badlands wasn't going to work out, but Dan Trachtenberg continued forward with his approach, even though it could lead to fan backlash. Terminator 2 took a risk and it didn't lead to fan backlash back in the 90s, but now studios are a bit more hesitant to take risks since fandom is now just a little bit different in a very bad way. But even with fandom being worse, studios should still ignore it and still take a risk, as Predator Badlands has proven. This whole week, people have been bitching online that Predator Badlands is terrible, that Disney made it woke even though that makes no fucking sense, criticizing how Dek doesn't look like a real Predator, showcasing that those whiny babies online didn't actually see the fucking movie since Dek's size plays directly into the plot, proving that these online bitches don't know what the fuck they're talking about. In this day and age, studios need to understand that no matter what you do, there will always be some type of online backlash, and it will seem like people are really mad at you. But in reality, it's probably just a bunch of dumbass grifter YouTubers who are very fucking stupid and are very fucking loud. That shouldn't scare studios into not taking risks and doing something new. Back in the day, they took a huge risk, turning the Terminator into a hero, and studios still acknowledge that that was a risk, but they did so anyway, and it massively paid off. And it's also working for Predator Badlands, since it had the highest opening movie for any Predator movie in the franchise. Take that, you fucking YouTube grifters. Yes, you can retread on past ground and do the same story that you once did, as long as you have a fresh take on it. Prey did that, Alien Romulus did that. It's okay, and that can be successful. But being complacent and doing the same thing over and over again is also very risky, as a lot of franchises are now discovering. Take the latest I Know What You Did Last Summer. That bombed really fucking hard, even though it did the same thing that they did in the 90s. And even though Predator Badlands did the exact same thing that a previous film did before, I hope studios learn from this and learn that they can take their franchises to a new territory and still be successful, make money, and deliver you a promising start to a new future. What did you think of Predator Badlands, and where do you think Deck will go, diving into the story of his mother? Let me know in the comments below, and also please don't forget to like this video, as it does help push it out into the algorithm and find more people like yourself. And please also don't forget to subscribe. If you do, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.